Hello, everybody, and welcome to another fantastic edition of the Brewery Underground Podcast, where you can follow us at SullivanTuronBreweryAdventures.com. I'm Steve Sullivan, and I am joined, as always, by the Chancellor of Craft Beer, Scott Turon, and we're ready to kick things off once again with a great group of guests today. But first, Scott, I do have my beer ready to go. How about you?
I do. I have to open it. I have got a
Yeah.
burial
Okay.
here that I'm going to open up.
All right.
I had a can earlier that I was going to bring upstairs, and I dropped it before I opened it. So
Yeah.
yeah, I had to back up and punt and get another one.
All right. Well, I have mine as well. I have Dark Shadow Brewing here. Let's see. They gave us this, and it was a watermelon pilsner. And who knows? By the time this podcast is over, I might be doing the watermelon crawl. And if anybody gets that, all right, yeah, gotta throw that in there. All right. So today, as we mentioned, we're joined by a tremendous lineup of ladies. And Scott, you have spearheaded this effort to bring them on. So I'm going to let you do the honors of introducing who we have here today.
Okay. First, I'm going to give props to Michelle, who planted the seed initially at the last beer fest I was at. So props to you.
Thank
So,
you.
Welcome. You deserve the credit. So today we're sitting here with Roxy Brissois, Rachel Benkowski, and Michelle Rumro. Roxy and Rachel are both from Beer Babes family. Michelle's from Dark Shadow Brewing, who is a brand ambassador, Beer Babes ambassador, aka ambassador extraordinaire, and and frequenter of every beer festival in Nashville.
That's all right.
Yes.
Rachel is the co-founder of Beer Babes family, certified cicerone and historian. And Roxy is a co-founder of Beer Babes family and a graduate sommelier. I got that from your website. So you drink a lot of wine, apparently.
Not anymore.
No.
I didn't
Also-
drink wine in like 2 years. So
Really? Well, what is a sommelier ultimately? What is that? I mean, I thought it's an expert on wine, right?
yeah, absolutely. But
Okay.
I switched to beer like during pandemic.
Okay. Understood. Well, I'm going to read what I wrote up, which I took from your website as to kind of define Beer Babes family, but I've just kind of summarize it. So Beer Babes family is a charitable organization in the U.S. and Canada that work with breweries throughout North America to raise funds from the sale of Bay Brew that are then awarded in the form of grants to women who work in the beer industry who are trying to improve their beer business. Did I get it close? Would anybody like to start and kind of elaborate on what Beer Babes family is?
Hey, and before you start, I also have to include you guys in the beer. So can you go around the table and tell me what beer you're drinking?
Roxy, you go.
I am sipping on a beer from Dieu du Ciel, a really known beer in Canada. And one of their most prestigious beer is Péché Mortel. So it's a really, really good stout.
All right, so I have my phone out because I have to look at this. So this is a beer that was made by a very good friend who's also an excellent home brewer. And I won a beer advent calendar from him this year. So he had 24 of his home brews that he was giving away to our friends group. And I've never won anything before, but I won this. I'm a very bad beer drinker, clearly, because I'm drinking an advent calendar beer now in February. So Nate Anderson is his name. His Instagram handle is Boozy Scientist. And this is his tequila Mexican lager. So
All right.
I'm
Holy
enjoying.
cow.
Yeah.
What's the ABV on that? Do you have it?
He says on the list he gave me it's only 4.3, so it's a really nice Mexican lager with just a little hint of that tequila breath right at the end. Yeah.
Very nice.
And Michelle, how about you?
I apologize, guys. I just have water today. I have a very early procedure in the morning to assist in. So
Well, that's okay. Well, cheers
bypass.
to all of you. Cheers to all of you.
Yeah, and there's water in beer, so
There is, yes.
Yes,
yeah. No,
yes,
so
there
it all comes out of it.
is.
So Rachel, let's start with you. What is Bay Brew?
What is Bay Brew? So Bay Brew is the series of beer that the Beer Babes family helps produce with different breweries throughout all of North America. So it is our brand collaboration beer. So we work with breweries in Canada and here in the United States. And we discuss different styles and how we want to create a beer to then sell. And then a portion of the proceeds of the sales of that beer is then donated back to us. And so Bay Brew is the name of all of these collaborations that we do. And that's for identification purposes, so people know that it's a charity beer.
Right. And I saw recently you guys had standardized on one label now. Is that right? For all the beers, I think did you do them? You had a different one probably for every beer prior.
Yeah. So through 2023, when we were doing a new collaboration with a new brewery, there would be a new exclusive label made for them. However, as we've begun to grow and there's been a higher demand and we're having multiple releases over, certain weekends, like, so if you are, you're in Orlando and you see the Bay Brew can art, but maybe, you're in, Vancouver in September when we have a release up there and you see the can art there. There's this cohesive nature of being able to identify this is Beer Babes beer, it is Bay Brew, and it is a charity beer.
That's great. And like you said, like when you see that anywhere, then it's going to be recognizable. Here you go.
Sure.
You can see it right there.
Yeah, and we're we'll do a unique label for each year. So 2025 will look very different from this year's label, and then going on into the future. So she's also a volunteer, so we can't have her designing a new can every single day. That's
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not there's just not much that much time.
No.
So what was the inspiration, and this you can open up this to anybody, but what was the inspiration behind starting Beer Babes?
You want me to get this one?
I'm guessing you've answered this one before.
Oh yeah. We start as an engagement group on social media. We find each other by miracle, and we were looking for better ways to connect everybody all together. And at one point we grow to like some breweries asking us to do beer for charity, and we're working really, really hard. And Rachel, at one point, she was like, why won't you do it for ourselves? So that's what we're doing now.
And it's fantastic. What year was that when you guys started?
We opened the Beer Babes family in 2020, actually.
Okay. Oh wow, right during COVID, huh?
Yeah. It's going to be 4 years in June.
So 2020 was the start of the engagement group, the all women engagement group. And we started using playfully the hashtag Beer Babes Family, and that kind of gained some momentum. And various people were asking, what is this? What is the Beer Babes Family? And we were like, it's nothing. We're just a bunch of women that talk about beer, that like beer, and we post. But that really gained some traction. And I think now hashtag Beer Babes Family has like how many posts? Like 30,000.
Yeah, would you consider them like you have chapters? I know you're all over the place and you're international, but are there chapters or just everything?
No, we don't want chapters. We are one big family. It's really important for us. It's what connects us. It's what makes us special. When you start having chapter, it's for business purpose. I could see it, but I feel we will lose our identity if we do that.
Michelle, how long have you been there from the beginning with them?
No, I have not. I actually just joined. It would have been during the August Bay Brew release when Dark Shadow Brewing did a collaboration with Common Law Brewing. So that's when I finally got to meet the girls. But Rachel Trisilla had actually introduced me to everybody online. And we just kind of waited until we could finally meet in person. and kind of connect, and they got a feel for my level of engagement in the beer community and the industry here. And that's how it all started.
That's where that ambassadorship comes into play, huh?
Yes.
It's interesting that you guys talk about all of this, bringing everybody together, and you're like a family. When Scott and I started this podcast, we had talked about let's do a podcast about craft beer. And as I've thought about this over the last couple of months as we've been doing this, little did I really realize that there were so many community type related groups, including yours. I mean, can you talk a little bit more about that, about how this has really brought you all together and what it's really meant to all of you, all three of you?
I've just really enjoyed still feeling so closely tied to the beer industry, because I wanted for quite a while to get into serving beer or working at a brewery, and I started back in 2021 with various artists brewing. You guys from Nashville may remember them.
I do.
But then
I miss
after
them.
they closed, it was such a sad day. But the community at large and the industry just still embraced me and kind of kept me around, and that's why everyone still saw me everywhere. And finding a way to connect with women in the beer industry, especially who are far underrepresented, that's been really cool to kind of see exactly what we all can do for each other and together, and to hear how uplifting everybody is in our group chat, and how awesome everybody has been embracing me into the Beer Babes family. So it's been a lot of fun, and I can't wait to see where we go with this in 2024.
I would probably not be on social media anymore if it was not for the group we created. So for me, having people that I can relate on, that are literally my sisters, that I can call and text every day and night, and I know if I catch a flight, they will probably join me somewhere. It is so empowering and we're never alone anymore. Like, no matter what's going to happen in my life, those women will be there for me.
So talk about that a little bit more, of the women that you've been able to reach out to and connect with and have now joined with you all. What has that meant for them? Have you found situations where maybe they were just searching and all of a sudden they have found you? And talk a little bit more about that.
I found most of the girls for almost a year. I was scouting Instagram for women in beer. Not everybody is there for the same reason, so you can quickly see if they're there for the community and like the connection, or for the clout and the likes, which is okay too. You know what I mean? So we surround slowly ourselves with people who were looking for true connections as well. And those women have been with us, and some girls have been with us since 4 years. Rachel D have been with us since, I want to say, 3 years now. She's been there for a while.
So I think one thing that it sets us apart from other beer communities is that we encourage people to travel to our events. And when people take the time and they pay, to go on these trips to help support us, we in turn try to be very supportive to them, whether we all share a house together when we're traveling, we share Ubers together. It's all about building a community of women and also men, because over time there's been a lot of men that are also very interested in participating, and men are babes too. So babe is an inclusive term. It is not women centric at all.
Right.
We are supporting women, but we like to think of the term babe as it's a term of endearment. The people that you love, it might be a cute little like, hey babe sort of thing, but that applies to men and women and everyone else in between.
Do you see a lot of the same faces when you go to different ones across the country? A lot of the same people show up?
We have a main group of like I want to say 15 girls that not travel to every single release, but try to be at like 3 or 4 of them. And we are adding new people every time. You need to come to one release. You're gonna have fun. You're gonna feel the power of the beer babes. You're gonna get the connection, and you will start to want to do more and more and more. We were happy to talk with you guys because we been working with Nashville and with Dark Shadow and Common Law since 2022, and this year we're coming twice. So we really hope that we could hype the event and trying to get people there. We are also experiencing this month technically, in 10 days in Orlando, we're going to have 3 release in 3 days. So if this goes well, we might try to have at least double release when we go somewhere. So when people travel to be with us, more time together, more brewery involvement, more money raised, more awareness to the beer babes. And with normal people go to a brewery, let's say in Orlando in 2 weeks, 3 brewery will have Bay Brews. So people who don't know who we are will go to one of those brewery. Oh, there's a Bay Brew there, okay. And if 2 days after they go to another one, oh, there's another Bay Brew here. Like it will ring something into their mind. So I don't think like every single town we're going could have this potential, but Nashville clearly have it. So
Yeah.
that's why we're kind of exciting about it.
Oh, that's
Well,
awesome.
to that point, then, do you want to talk about the 2 events that you do have coming this year? I know you've got one in
Yeah.
May and you've got one in December.
We through Dark Shadow Brewery, so through Michelle and Rachel D, we got a new brewery who joined the family on May the 4th. Sadly, we cannot do like a Star Wars event related. So we're working with Crazy Gnome. I never been. I think it's in East Nashville, if I'm
It
correct.
is.
It is, yes.
Celebration with Dark Shadow. We still don't know the style or anything. We usually start talking about this 3 months before the release. So probably next month we're gonna start talking about it. And we're going for the 3rd year back to common law. This time it will be a only common law release because we want Rachel D and Michelle to work on other breweries, so we could maybe have a 3rd release the same weekend as common law would be really fucking fantastic. Sorry, I swear.
That's all right.
Because we want the girls to have time to do something else. And Mark is a great ally. Now, after 2 beers, he know what we're doing, he understand the cause, and he felt confident enough to do it on his own. But yeah, definitely. And the second release will be on December 7th. So it's a lot of time in front of us to find a second brewery to work with us.
We talked about this before we started recording, but what does a release party I'll call it a release party, but what does a release entail? If you show up at the brewery, what are we going to expect? Craziness?
Go ahead, Michelle.
I was going to say the release was a lot of fun. We arrived early to help with setup at Common Law, and then we got to kind of receive everybody as they arrived in their Ubers together. And we set up a table that had a lot of the Beer Babes swag and just shared stories, beers, camaraderie, and it was a lot of fun. There was a DJ. It's just so much fun. I can't even wrap my head around it. And then, of course, there are after parties.
Of course.
I've been
Crazy
to
Gnome's
20
great.
of the 23 release, and it's always the common denominator on all this is the connection we made in the love. Like sometimes women show up at the release and it's the first time we actually meet them in person, but we hug them and it's like we known them because we've been talking with them for so long. 2 weeks ago in Vancouver, I met Laurie, who's actually an original member of the Beer Babe. So we've been talking with her since 4 years. So to have her in front of me and share a day with her because I was there a day before. So we had the brilliant idea to go day drinking starting at 11 in the morning. And at 5 p.m. we'll be home. I was in my bed at 1 a.m. Pretty drunk.
That's
Well,
still
you can't-
considered day drinking, though.
Well, you
But
can't
the
drink all day if
connection-
you don't start early.
The connection that I
Right.
made with her, even if it's the first time I saw her in person, it was like we knew each other for a while. So it's another thing that it's fun. It's empowering. I think empowering will be the perfect word to describe a Beer Babe release. I think.
Awesome.
Sometimes people say we're like they don't come to talk to us because we're intimidating with all our shirts and everything. But we want people to come to us and talk to us. This is why we're there. If you don't come
Right.
introduce yourself, we won't know. The thing is, men who show up at our event usually don't show their face on their Instagram. So we don't know who they are, and they don't come to us because they're shy.
Well, I've got it on my calendar. I'm definitely going to the Crazy Gnome one. We like those guys over there anyway.
Yeah.
They've got great beer and a great spot, so that's going to be a lot of fun there, no doubt.
Yeah, we had them on our podcast a few months ago, and that was a really enjoyable podcast, and they had a great story too. And we've talked about that so much on this podcast, is we love telling stories, and you guys have a great one. I know, Michelle, as you talked about, can you put a finger on how many women that you've helped just here in the Nashville area in this effort?
Oh my goodness. I don't know that I could put an actual number on that, but as far as a variety of different girls that have come up to talk to me wondering what is Beer Babes, when is the next release, and things of that nature. It's been a lot of fun to kind of talk to them and explain what we do. And we've got a few, mostly interested in common law, but I'm trying to steer them towards Crazy Gnome also.
Sure. And maybe this is a question for Rachel or Roxy. Are there areas of the country that you've seen more of an uptick in this effort?
Yeah, well, Florida has been incredibly supportive. Phoenix, where I live, has also been incredibly supportive. But we found that as we've been filling the calendar for this year, there's a growing interest.
In Toronto. Ontario, Canada, we have 5 releases this year.
Wow.
It's like Ontario is so behind us, and I feel it's harder in Canada to get people behind what we're doing. So to see it happening for me is really rewarding. The States have been really more supportive to the Beer Babes family than Canada. Phoenix, Nashville, and Florida, because we have Fort Lauderdale and Orlando actually, have been like our 3 spots. But we've been working with 2 breweries, like one in Boston and one in Reading, Pennsylvania, since 2022 as well. But the more a brewery work with us once and usually want to do it again. Sometimes it's us who say no, but most of the time they want to do it again because we have more attraction now on our social media. So we give visibility to those breweries. We put them on the map. We attract people and their beer, because the girls, when it's canned, will buy it, and you know how it is. They exchange it with other people. So it's going everywhere. And we boost them, even if it's not Beer Babes related after. They're part of the family. The beer we released in Vancouver 2 weekends ago, the brewer won Best Young Brewer of the Year in Canada this week. So for us, it's really empowering too. It's becoming like they're a part of the family. So the more brewery we get, for us, if it go well, which is always, because we attract people and the beer sell fast, so they always want to do it. So for us, there's most chance that this brewery will want to do it again. So we're just adding more and more. So this is how we grow, actually.
I feel like with so many of them, it's hard to know their business models and what they would like to see happen. And of course, until they talk to you guys, they don't know. I feel that's been more of my engagement, and what I actively do here for Beer Babes is kind of like with you guys with podcasts. I've recruited a couple of podcasts and talked to some breweries that have voiced interest, and then I send them towards Rachel and Roxy and Rachel.
But this is exactly what the ambassador are doing for us. It's not an ambassadorship where you got free stuff or stuff like this. It's more like you go to your local brewery, you let them know about us, you talked about us. Like 3/4 of the beer we got were connection with our girls. If I text a brewery, oh, I would love to work with you, I'm just someone else who asked them something. If someone like Michelle go there, talk about us, wear a shirt, super passionate about us, they were like, oh, wait a minute, what is this? and they will listen a little bit more. So we would not be where we are without our 52 ambassador. Like really, those girls are everything.
How does someone become an ambassador, or do you kind of have a cap on it right now?
We changed the rules a little bit. We work now more with our sponsorship, like Michelle got through because Rachel vouched for her. She came to a release. So you could have interest in becoming an ambassador, but now that because a lot of people ask and it was becoming messy, what we want is we need you to come to release, to meet us, to be at the Bay Brew event, to buy a shirt, to understand what we're doing, and after that you become an ambassador because you will way more believe in what it is. Because when girls became ambassador just via Instagram and never intend to be at any release, it was still just virtual for them. So they were closing their phone and we barely heard from those girls. When you attend a release, you understand what we're doing, you're way more passionate about it. And you will act, most of those girls end up having breweries working with us because of that.
I feel like because we get this question a lot, along with, do you have members or chapters, things like this.
But for us, everything is important. Like, yes, ambassador are our family. But there's a lot of people who even write in their bio, they support the Beer Babes. And there's also this part I realize with time is for some people, Instagram is virtual and they don't wish to meet anybody in person, which is fine too. You can be introvert or shy or no matter what. And even women won't be interested to meet us because they're too shy to do it. But those people are as important for us. And even the followers, like we don't interact with them as much, but they look at our stuff and it put the algorithm on our side and we just discover more and more people. So every single person who like you follow or like on our page is important.
By the way, Rachel from Dark Shadow Brewing has hopped on here with us.
So, Rachel, since you just joined us, how about you? Can you tell us the relationship? We touched on it a little bit before you got here, but the relationship between Dark Shadow and Beer Bay's family?
Yeah. Well, we've done two collaborations right now. We did one back in, gosh, was that 2022?
It was February 2022, yeah.
Yeah, that was the first one, and then the second one was in August of 23 was the release of it. So we also partner with Common Law and brewed beers with the intent was to, bring women of the area in on basically doing the brewing process and just really involved in the beer. Just because I'm really a proponent of Beer Babes, kind of one of the original that came on board. So, I always love to see and support other women and have them in this industry because it's such a male dominated field that it's nice to have and see women just making a go of it.
What and this question can be for anyone. Are you seeing when you pick out a brewery that you try to work with, do you try to see what kind of if they're staffed with a lot of women there, if they're women based? Or Roxy, you had something to say?
I will answer that. Yeah.
Okay.
We really checked usually if they treat women properly. That's why our ambassador are really important for us because every brewery that we picked without anybody, we don't really know them. And we had some weird story happen after. So for us, when people like Rachel D or Michelle or Sarah or Allison vouch for a brewery, we know that it's because they treat women properly. They don't need to be female owned. They don't need to have a women brewer. They don't need to have women working there. They just need to support women. That's what matters.
That's wonderful. What are some ways that breweries and other companies, for that matter, can do more to help promote women in beer?
Certainly hiring. women in various capacities would certainly be the first step. But then also supporting, organizations like ours and helping bring awareness to all of that, and helping bring awareness to the treatment that was not proper beforehand, and just overall, just being being there, being supportive, showing that you actually care. Like, just show up and say it, like, say it out loud and stand behind what you say.
Are you able to, even with the exception of Rachel and Michelle, kind of pointing breweries out to you and saying, okay, these guys are good at it? Do you pick up on it, or you go to a brewery and they're like, oh yeah, I can see they're doing the right things here as far as having women in the business?
It really depends. It happens sometimes. Let's say the other partner we're having in May, on May 18, is a brewery close to Toronto, and they were following me personally since a while. And I walked up there and I started talking with the taproom manager, was a guy, and he was like, "Oh, my boss is behind," and it was a woman. To start talking with her, and boom, we're doing a beer with them. Like, I just sold the project in like 20 minutes. Um, it happened more and more too. I think that we feel it pretty fast. You could see when you go to, and I think it happened to all of us ladies around here. You go to a brewery and you will feel pretty fast if they are supporting women, like pretty fast. And it's something that I never experienced in Canada, but in the States, sometimes when I go to a bar or a tap room or brewery, and I usually drink really like heavy IBV stouts. And in the States, it happened quite often. If I order my beer, they will tell me, it's pretty strong for you.
Oh,
It is not
yeah.
something that will
Yeah.
happen to me in Canada. So I will never work with those places just because of that comment.
Right.
Understood.
Definitely understood.
Just out of curiosity, do you all, any of you know, Bailey from Jackalope here in Nashville? I know that's woman owned too, so I didn't know if you all know.
Yeah, we've actually reached out and been talking, communicating back and forth with Bailey, trying to connect with her and sit down and just find out, how she and Jackalope got its start and being, see what we can do with them.
Yeah, we've reached out to her too. Hopefully, we could get her on here at some point too. But
Yeah, I hear she's a tough one to pin down sometimes.
really,
She's a pretty busy lady. That
yeah, they've got a great brewery.
Our
Yeah.
most female-owned brewery we work with so far was Greenwood in Phoenix, actually. Rachel can probably talk more about them, but they're female-owned, female brew. They're pretty known in Arizona because of that, and they've been supportive, super, super, super supportive since 2022. We're really lucky to have them on board.
Have any of you got to help brew beer with some of these collabs you're doing? Yeah.
Oh yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
Is that
Well, we
right?
got to hear that.
To be honest, I don't go anymore a lot because, like, I think brewing beer is boring.
There is a lot of like.
It was
waiting.
fun at first, but after 20 times, you're just like, So
Yeah.
The thing is, because I travel to all the release, I cannot travel for brew day as well. I'm gonna
Yeah.
go to the 2 brew days we're gonna have in Quebec, but I'm not gonna travel the 7 hours to go to Toronto for brew day. I brewed beer many times, but it's always fun because most of the time at our brew day, there's always new women who never brew beer who go and find out how to do it. So this is the part I love about it. We brew a beer, like one of the beer in Toronto last week. So Tia was there with Mare, who actually co-owned Granite. It was fun to see owner of another brewery go to another brewery to brew beer. I really love this. And in Orlando, we had 3 brew days in a week, and 2 of the girls who went, it was their first time, and they were really excited about it. Remember, the first time you go help brew beer, you're mesmerized by it. But the cleaning part is really,
The
really
cleaning
fucking
part.
boring. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And
That's the tough part.
the brewery I brew the most is Presbytère in Quebec. We just announced our 3rd collaboration with them. They have a really small system, with the tank on the top and everything. To clean there, it's a nightmare. I don't know how Jessica and Francis do it all the time, but I'm gonna go again. But damn, I don't like it.
For what it's worth, It seems like everybody that we've had on the podcast that brews beer says that same thing. It's a common theme that the cleanup process is just the hardest part.
But I really love the fact that we introduce more and more women to the brewing process through brew days. For me, it's always like I love to stick because they reach out after and they take pictures and they talk about it. And I'm always like, yay, someone else found out about brewing beer. And it's really empowering too.
I was just going to say that was how my experience started in August with the Beer Babes was brew day at Common Law with Dark Shadow. I met Shayna and we all just kind of kept in touch. That brew day was actually in May, but then the release was in August. But I kept in touch with everybody, and I kept asking Rachel, like, do you think they're gonna like me? Do you think I'm gonna get in?
How could we not like you?
I know,
so
right? There's not a person around that doesn't like Michelle.
That's right.
Thank you.
And she got a good recommendation too.
I remember the first time I made Rachel tea in Boston. You were so shy.
I'm just quiet. I'm not that shy.
And we had some really loud women in our community. I'm in the middle. I think Rachel and me, we know when it's time to talk, but we listen to. But that's why I think we stuck together in Boston, because we were the quiet one in the group as well. I was the quiet one. Can you believe it?
Hey, Roxy, when you started this venture, could you have imagined, and I think you said it was 2020 that you started this, right?
Yeah.
Could you imagine it almost 4 years later? Did you anticipate it being this big already?
Oh no. We released 24 beer. I probably met over 100 different women all across North America. My best friend is Rachel. I would have never, and me and Rachel, we talk about it all the time. We pinch ourselves. Like, is it true? Is it happening for real? Is it our life? We're really lucky, really, really, really lucky to have all those women around us who help us build that. We didn't do, yes, we are the one behind it, but we didn't do it all by ourselves at all.
And can the other ladies on the here talk about that too? I mean, just your thoughts of what she said, kind of echo what she's saying.
Yeah, I mean, I can certainly echo that. Just being that like up at the Boston, it was really nice to actually put like a face to, like, we comment and even have little side conversations like on Instagram, but to actually see and meet them in person, like, you are real, and it's kind of that, and you have like there's almost like an immediate connection, and so it's amazing.
I'm gonna post a reel tomorrow on the Beer Bay page. It's all people who hugging from different days, and you'll see the love between all another. Rachel came actually because before we were releasing beer, we were doing meetups because we wanted to be a community before being a nonprofit. So we were organizing all those meetups, and the first meetups in the States was actually in April 2022. And Rachel flew from Nashville to be in Boston just to come to meet us. So this is when we realized Rachel was actually not there because Rachel B was not there. But this is where I realized it was getting somewhere. We have Becky from Florida. We had you from Nashville. We had a girl from Toronto, April, who flew. We were a bunch of people from Montreal. I feel I'm missing someone from outside too, and I'm sorry if this person is listening. That was Mandy Lynn was from Vermont as well.
Yeah.
But this is where we realize, oh, damn, okay, it is. Those people traveled to be with us. It's going somewhere. And the beer, we already brewed the 3 Girl Crush at that point, but the proceeds were going to another. We were not a nonprofit at that point. But to see all those people traveling, I'm trying to remember which release was the first one where everybody came together. I feel it was Phoenix, Rachel, in December 2022, where we all end up having people from all across North America coming. And I think this is where we were. It was the first time we were actually meeting one another. We met for the first time in person a year and 2 months ago, 14 months. It's insane when you think about it. And I think this is where we realize, okay, this is bigger than we think, and there's potential there to help more women and to like create something bigger than ourselves. So this is where we're trying humbly to do.
Can you all talk about where or how the money gets used that the grants are given to?
Sure. Yeah. So yeah, no, this is a great time to talk about how all of this works. So a little bit earlier, I had said that the main way that we fundraise is we partner with breweries to brew a Bay Brew. So we don't have any specifications about size of brewery, right? So whether you have a 3-barrel system or a 100-barrel system, it doesn't matter. Anyone and everyone is welcome to participate if they want to. So depending on the size of the batch of beer that you can brew will obviously dictate the amount of money that you will donate. And also the size of your brewery will also dictate whether or not you choose to donate maybe 25 cents a beer versus $1 a beer versus perhaps more than $1 a beer. You know, that's up to your business plan as a brewery. So we partner with all these different kinds of breweries, and we come up with a plan with a style and a release date, and then we try to promote the hell out of that release date to get as many people there as possible to sell the beer as fast as possible, because we want to have that demand there. You know, if you want a Bay Brew, guess what? You have to be there, sort of thing. So then with these collaborations, they'll donate anywhere from, like I said, the 25 cents to the $1 per pint or can of beer. And then we put that into our business grants fund. And so in 2023, we gave a business grant to a woman brewer and a co-owner of a brewery in Toronto. She was needing a closed fermenter. So up until this point, her family has owned the brewery for I think 30 or so years. But they
32 years.
Old school. How long?
32 years.
32 years. Okay. But they're doing very, very old school open fermenting, which is very restrictive to the styles of which she can brew as the head brewer. And so in trying to expand her family business, she's like, I'd really love a closed fermenter. And so we were able to give her money so that she can do that. And so each year we're going to give one business grant because we want it to be a significant amount of money. So we wanted to actually make like a difference rather than giving like 10, you know, just a couple $100 grants. We would prefer to give one significant grant to make that dent in what this woman needs to make her business better.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Who gets to pick the beers the breweries make? Is it up to the brewery, or do you guys have some say in that, or?
No, so we like to let the breweries showcase whatever it is that they want to showcase to the world. So like Roxy said a little bit earlier, the breweries that work with us, they're getting international exposure in perhaps a way that they would not get otherwise. And so for the women that are traveling to these releases, a lot of them take beer home with them. And so they're sharing this beer with people in their local communities.
One of our main goal is as well to for now we're giving one grant a year. We hope that in the next couple of years we'll raise enough money to be able to give 1 grant in Canada and 1 grant in the States. But again, we want to give a significant amount of money. So eventually we'll get there, but their first goal is to make someone happy every year.
Wonderful. And I assume there's some kind of application process somebody would go through to kind of get into the works.
Yes.
Yep, it's all on our website. It's pretty straightforward. Video submission, a couple of questions about your business that you have, a cover letter, and then the board, the Beer Babes Family Board, we go through all those applicants, we review them, and then those of whom we want to speak with one-on-one will have a formal interview, and then we make a decision after that.
Very cool.
And by the way, you mentioned a website. Can you talk more about where people can find you on the website and on other places of social media?
Yeah, it's all just Beer Babes Family. So Instagram is at Beer Babes Family. Website is beerbabesfamily.com. TikTok, Jesus. TikTok. TikTok is Beer Babes Family. Facebook, Beer Babes Family. Yeah.
We're not really
Sure.
active on TikTok, by the way. I haven't connected in like 5 months. I don't understand TikTok, so
Nobody
It's
does.
pretty,
because
yeah,
we,
no.
we both have different jobs in the Beer Babes. Rachel do the stuff that we were really, really good partners. Rachel do for me the boring stuff. So she handle our website. She do all the business, the money, the contract, all those kind of things. And I do the fun stuff. I'm behind social media and I connect with breweries and I organize the calendar. I bet that she thinks she's doing the fun stuff too.
You both found your niche.
Yeah.
We're the perfect team since day one. I think this is one of our strengths. TikTok, since I'm the one behind it, I tried. I cannot get views. So what's the point? I understand the Instagram algorithm, so I stick to it.
That's us too. We fought the social media thing to start this thing. I said, okay, well, I'm gonna do Facebook and Instagram, and we have a Twitter account, but I don't even touch it. It's like I
But
don't. It's
Rachel opened a YouTube. So I think in 2024, 2025, we might start like adding more on YouTube as well. But we need time for it. And because we both work full times in our regular job plus full time for the Beer Babes, YouTube is like an extra task. But I feel
Yeah.
that there's stuff to do there. Like there's people to reach on YouTube and there's actually money to make on YouTube.
Yeah.
So that could go to the grant as well.
You
So
know,
we need
having Scott and I having just started a podcast, I think we feel you there. It's
yeah.
it's all a learning process. But you guys are doing something a lot more important than we are.
No, because we go together.
Yeah.
We go
yeah.
together like
Love
Okay,
it.
I'm opening my third beer, so see I'm
It's-
singing now.
I would start singing, but yeah, I would start singing, but I would probably have better luck doing the watermelon crawl, and you don't even want to see that either.
I am opening a cacao cherry lactose pastry stout at like 11%. So after that, I'm done. After that, I'm done. It's been in my fridge for 2 years, so I'm worse than Rachel. Like I buy too many beers for what I drink.
Yeah.
So now my fiance is like, you accept Bay Brews, nothing else is coming in until you drink all those beers.
Well, hey, before we wrap this up, and I would love to go all night, but you just you're pouring a very high percentage
Stout.
beer, so you're not going to last.
That's a
much
high
Oh,
octane.
Yeah, high
you
octane.
can be surprised. You can be surprised. man.
I know. We're not going to test that theory tonight, though. But we definitely will have you all back on soon. But Scott, anything else tonight for these lovely ladies, the babes, the beer babes?
The babes, yes, I would, and I want to ask this question to everyone. At the end of the day, what's the thing you're most proud of in being a part of this organization?
Oh wow. Okay. Everyone throw it at me. I've just been really proud to be able to share the connections that I've made here in Nashville and try to introduce the Beer Babes to my friends and connections that I have here, to try to get more Bay Brew releases here, which will then in turn, of course, help the organization and help women in the industry, but also just to help grow us into something even bigger than they're proud of where we are now and just take it up and above.
Well said.
That's why I picked on her, because I knew she had an answer like that.
She was ready to go.
Okay,
with
thanks.
How about Rachel T?
Yeah, I was about to say Rachel
Oh.
should go there.
Yeah.
Phoenix. I think I'm just really proud of the collaborations that we've been able to do. Past couple with Common Law. Now we have the one upcoming with the Crazy Gnome. So that'll be released in May. So I mean, I love the connections too, but I think that there's just like that's cherry on top. I would say.
You missed the part, Rachel, when I said that we have more time to find a second brewery to work with Dark Shadow in December as well.
Well, we've got Tenfold.
Oh, that's true. Forgot about it.
Yeah.
We need to talk about it. I forgot about it. Thanks for reminding me.
Yeah.
I just met those guys just the other day too, the Tenfold guys.
Yeah. Chad's really cool.
Cool.
Rachel, you want to go with what you're proud, and I'll finish.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of things, but I think personally for me, what is so profound about all of this stuff that we're doing outside of raising money and helping somebody, which is a huge deal, and I think Roxy can resonate with me when I say this, that when we were able to give somebody money to help improve their business, like, we were shining for like the whole week, like just talking about how excited we are to help somebody. That is something that is really modern and it's really different and it's maybe kind of weird depending on how you look at it. Like, you develop these relationships with these people without ever meeting them. You know, you might talk to them for like 2 years and then you ultimately meet them and you're like, oh my God, like Rachel was talking earlier about this, like, you're a real person.
On my side, because I want to say something different than Rachel, because I agree with what 3 of the ladies have said earlier. But personally, I'm mesmerized by, I don't know if I'm going to phrase it properly, but by the power that we're starting to have. Like, we move mountain out together. In December, our goal was to get 24 beers for 2024. In December, we had 18 beers. Right now, we have 25 beers. So in less than a month, we booked 7 breweries, and
Amazing.
we will book more. Right now I'm hoping for 30 beers in 2024. So this is another thing I'm really proud to see everybody coming together and work together towards the same goal, which is to raise money, but to also get more chance to meet one another, because our release, our parties, and the people travel to be there. So it's just helping the community and also the charity. I am so proud of that.
I think we're going to wrap it up with that because I don't know how you can follow that. So we definitely appreciate it. And Roxy and Michelle and Rachel and Scott, we're glad. This is great that we've gotten the Beer Babes on tonight. And we look forward to your progress. And we're going to bring you back on in the future to talk more about your future success. And we look forward to seeing you in Nashville really soon, too.